Hi everyone, and welcome back to M&M English with another video which is gonna unpack the world of art. This video is gonna deal with how you already know and process the world of art and help you give deep, critical answers about art questions in IELTS speaking or writing. And let's get started. To begin with, candidates freeze on art for a number of good reasons. First up, they've never been asked to think in an organized way about what counts as art or for what reasons societies fund it. In other words, they can name, say, Mona Lisa or the Louvre Museum, but probably fail to explain why, broadly speaking, a society funds them, why people still appreciate something like the Mona Lisa. So they end up piling lists of vocabularies without structuring them around ideas. Together, these make up the bulk of difficulties in thinking through artsy questions. And now, let's deal with them one by one. Stay tuned, like and subscribe, and in case it helped you out, share it with your classmates. What is art? Now take a moment and ponder over the possible meaning of art. Well, defining art is pretty slippery, yet I picked this definition from Oxford and I liked it for a number of good reasons. It says art is a noun, of course, and it means the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Now, notice the first clause. It says it is the expression or application of human skills and imagination. So, in other words, it's the translation of human skillfulness and imagination. Into what? Into something observable. And this is the first dimension of art. Skill and imagination via skill and creativity becomes expression. It's finally about doing that creative thinking and showcasing or displaying that thinking or imagination. That's why the arts are about visual forms. The second dimension has to do with breaking down what is implied by imagination. What do we mean by imagination? And the question raised here is it whatever humans imagine? Is it whatever crosses their mind? Although this probably has to do with the rest of the definition, but take a look at this one. Appreciated. For what? For beauty or emotional power. Now, the question is, who decides if an artwork is beautiful? Is an artwork appreciated by 2 million Africans not beautiful when an Oxford professor says so? So let's contend with the fact that it is slippery to define, yet there is an element of beauty and emotional power in an artwork. And this could differ from person to person and culture to culture. And now, the first point we're going to make is what counts as art. Art is, as we have mentioned, a pretty slippery and fluid concept, which differs from culture to culture and even era to era, time to time. And that painstakingly difficult to pin down to a single working definition. This is because what counts as art in Europe may not in Africa, and vice versa. Culture is a filter that deems a work art or non-art, and this element of culture, unfortunately, was missing from the original Oxford Dictionary. This, per se, paves the way for the next issue, number 2. Art covers an array of forms like painting, sculpture, photography, architecture, music, dance, theatre, literature, film. If you remember, the dictionary said visual forms. Now, this is not just about visual forms. Let's have a look. By the way, this is a screenshot from the couple of amazing worksheets that come with the video. To access them, simply tap on the link in the description to join my Telegram channel and enjoy using them for free. So, art, we said, can be either visual or performative. It is visual like a painting, like a pottery, sculpting, or street art. And it is performing or performative like dancing, acting, and cello. Now, both of these, visual arts and performative arts, can be looked at from the creative side or lens or the appreciative side. So, visual creative art is a painting. Now, a visual appreciative art is like visiting an art gallery. And its counterpart would be performative creative arts or performative appreciative arts. So, a performative creative one is like dancing. A performative appreciative is like watching or listening. So you watch a theater play, that's performative appreciative art. Or you might happen to see yourself enjoying visiting exhibitions or art galleries, then that's visual appreciative art. So this means you appreciate something by going to an exhibition, visiting an art gallery, buying in order to support sculptors, for example. But wait a second, why? Why are we making this distinction? Well, it helps you make sense of how you see and describe art when asked in, say, speaking or writing. You make a fine distinction by highlighting your arguments. If you enjoy playing the piano, you can say, a creative performative art like playing the piano is what I enjoy the most. If asked whether you like the cinema, you say, I have a particular liking for curatorial performing arts, like watching plays. What if it's watching a dance show? What would you call it? How would you describe it? Write it down in the comments and I'll check it out for you. How would you describe liking to dance? So, in a nutshell, use this grid to find out more about the arts that you appreciate, you like, so you can describe them at length. How to use it? There's a couple of different ways you can go about it. Just write one form of art that you cherish the most per each cell. For example, visual creative, visual appreciative, performative, creative, performative, appreciative. Or just brainstorm the different forms you like or even hate and then categorize them. So copy this table in your notebook and then just start describing them. Now, to remind you yet another time, doing these worksheets can pave the way for you to deliver answers that are deep enough to help you grip a 7, 8, or even band 9, as there are loads of exercises that are specifically created to address task response, grammar range, and lexical resource, which focus on building collocations and, most importantly, help you sort out the ideas that you will definitely need. So, time to move on and talk about functions of art. To keep it handy, we're going to look at 4 clear purposes or functions of the arts. We have the personal, the cultural, the socio-political, as well as the economic driver. First up, art serves personal expression. What do we mean by this? Now, this is pretty important because loads of candidates seem to freeze when they are asked why they like what they like. For example, why do they like dancing, etc., etc. And first up, art serves personal expression. What do we mean by this? Well, art at its simplest is a form of communication. Emotions, moods, and feelings are also communicated through art. Clearly enough, artists communicate emotions and experiences that ordinary language cannot reach. As you might have already heard of the quote, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, it says a lot in a very short space, and quite immediately it has its impact. Because, unlike words, which come in sequences and each of which has a definite meaning, art provides a range of forms, symbols, and ideas with meanings that are flexible, that are malleable. Now, art is a direct reflection of human life. As well as this, Art is a direct reflection of human life. It's connecting personal expression with lived experiences. Artists use colors, sounds, and words to turn real-life feelings and pain into something people can see and touch. Now, when we say experience, we're actually boiling it down to the daily struggles that shape what an artist creates and how they view the world, all to help people feel less alone by connecting different personal journeys together. Second, we said, is the cultural preservation of art. Art records traditions and historical values. Art connects deeply to cultural preservation and the recording of history by acting as a living archive, communicating shared values and safeguarding identity. It visually and emotionally captures the beliefs, stories, and heritage of a community across generations. How? Well, through traditional crafts, heritage, and visual storytelling. It keeps ancestral customs and indigenous identities alive in the modern world. Besides, art acts as a direct witness to the past, documenting social struggles, historical events, and moral values while creating an emotional connection to history that written records alone cannot really replicate. Now, the third function is, we said, socio-political. Unfortunately, most candidates limit the arts to entertainment only, yet it can entertain and educate a society or challenge it. A good example is graffiti artists sending socio-political messages, becoming a focus of controversy, and finally sparking social change. Art acts as a powerful catalyst for social and political change. How? By translating complex issues into accessible, emotional narratives that educate the public and expose hidden injustices. Take, for example, Guernica, which is a 1937 oil painting by the Spanish artist Pablo Picasso, which was universally recognized as one of the most powerful and moving anti-war statements in history. Now, Picasso's monumental painting depicted the horrific geopolitical realities of bombing a Basque town during the Spanish Civil War. Ultimately, provocative arts like these drive tangible political change by creating unifying symbols for social movements. And this directly pressurizes corrupt institutes to enact systemic policy reforms. Now, interestingly, such forms are called avant-garde arts. Let's go to the last function of art. Its economic value. Art connects directly to economic value by driving job creation and tourism, proving that its core purpose extends far beyond aesthetic appreciation, which was originally mentioned in Oxford Dictionary. So it goes far beyond aesthetic appreciation into a powerful engine for, as we have just mentioned, socio-political change and financial growth. The arts support a vast workforce of artists, museum staff. It draws global travelers to iconic museums, heritage sites, and architectural landmarks. It infuses millions into local hospitality sectors through short-term art fairs, music festivals. So in a nutshell, the arts serve multiple dimensions like personal, cultural, social, political, and economic. And in IELTS speaking exam, for example, link the artwork you're describing to one or two of these functions. Or in writing task 2, for example, structure an argument in a paragraph around one of these functions. For example, art's role in preserving cultural identity. So this 4-function grid is a mental fallback when questions feel challenging and abstract. Now, in IELTS, one of the most recurring questions is whether arts should be funded or should governments turn their attention to other sectors. My next video is going to take a closer look at this very task. And honestly speaking, it's a must-watch because it tells you about where governments funded the arts and what happened in the real world, and where governments defunded the arts and the repercussions of doing so. Because I tried to gather some real evidence from news articles around the world. The video will uncover task 2 in a really engaging way to help you see how each side argues for and against funding the arts. Now, this video was brought to you by M&M English with me, Mohammed, and remember, examiners reward candidates who can discuss abstract ideas with examples and balance. And to better understand what we talked about in speaking and writing, you absolutely need more examples and exercises. And that's why your homework is going to be the worksheets that I posted on my Telegram channel. Click on the link pinned as the first comment and download the worksheets for free. If this helped you, please like and subscribe for more IELTS topic deep dives. And thank you for watching. Keep practicing. Stay tuned. Bye.